This is the Tesla CyberTruck, and this is the $3,000 Tesla-designed tent they call Basecamp. We're going to be putting this setup to the test as we spend the next 3 days living in the middle of the desert. If you're new here, we've spent a lot of time living out of homes on wheels. This van was our home for 2 years during the pandemic, and since then, we've tested different vehicles' living situations of all shapes and sizes. So we're excited to see how the futuristic-looking CyberTruck Basecamp compares. In this video, we'll put the CyberTruck to the test off-road, give you a full tour of our setup, and show you what it's like to actually live out of it on a daily basis.
Oh my gosh.
This is way too much fun. Good morning. That is not how you're supposed to get out. The zipper stuck. We just finished spending our first night in the CyberTruck, and I have a lot of thoughts. Plus, we'll give you a full tour around, but first, let me get caffeinated. Well, dang, my extension cord has 2 holes and the kettle has 3 prongs. I think we can still make this work, it just won't be quite as convenient. Good morning. How'd you sleep?
Once I finally fell asleep, I slept great. I was convinced somebody was trying to break in for a while. It was about midnight and I heard this thump, and then I saw a light. Obviously, burglar trying to kill me.
She's sleeping with a rock beside her pillow.
But Nate was so brave and got out with our tripod in his underwear.
So last night at midnight, something banged up against the car multiple times. And I think the LED light on the front of the Tesla is motion censored. We kept hearing like a thud against the car, and then there would be the flash of a light. We will definitely be moving camp spots tonight. So before we get into the tour, let me quickly catch you up on how we got out here, how we got this truck, and what the plans are. Yesterday, we met a random guy at an office parking lot in LA, and then we drove the truck 2 hours here to Joshua Tree. If you want to feel like a celebrity, renting one of these trucks in the next couple months when there aren't many of them on the road is the perfect way to do that. I bet over 100 people drove by us taking photos. And then we stopped at a supercharger to top up before driving into Joshua Tree, and it was kind of crazy. People were taking photos in front of the truck. At one point, we had like 10 people and I was giving a tour of a truck I knew nothing about at that point. It was pretty humorous. I mean, stopping at a supercharger is just asking for it because all the other Tesla owners are just sitting there waiting for their cars to charge. And this is by far the most interesting thing they could possibly drive up. Also, driving this thing is insanely fun. It does not feel like driving a truck at all. It feels like driving a sports car, both with the acceleration and with the steering. You literally can control this massive, powerful truck just with the flick of a wrist. And then last night, getting to this campsite, we got to put overland mode to the test. I feel like Joshua Tree kind of looks like Mars anyway, so in my mind, this is just the perfect setting for the CyberTruck. And I have to say, the roads getting out here weren't exactly easy, and this thing rode super smooth. We'll get into all this later, but the CyberTruck actually has the ability to raise its suspension 12 inches for extra off-road clearance. And then last night, we got to camp right as the sun was setting, and the tent in the back of the CyberTruck had never been set up before. And I couldn't find any videos about it on YouTube, so I was kind of going in blind to the setup. The only thing I had seen was the promo video that Tesla made, and in that video, it looks like it just kind of like magically inflates and sets itself up. That is not the case. You actually have to take the truck apart a little bit, which is crazy. A couple of things about the setup process just really make me wonder who designed this $3,000 tent. It's definitely more involved than I anticipated. So at this point, we have been in the CyberTruck for less than 24 hours. So we are by no means experts, but I do want to show you around, show you the things that we like and we don't like so far, kind of our first impressions of the truck. And last but not least, you saw the kettle earlier, but we bought a couple appliances to test out. This is an air fryer, both the air fryer and the kettle pull an insane amount of electricity. I know this because we lived in a van, and we would never ever put an air fryer in our van because it would just drain the batteries immediately. So I actually want to try cooking a meal in the air fryer and then measure to see how much of the Tesla battery that it drains. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up, so let's get started with the tour. Ooh.
Why did that just happen?
It just locks when you get far away from it.
My phone is in the car. This thing is haunted.
Quick disclaimer before we get started. I am not a car expert. I'm far from an engineer. So if you want a detailed tech tour of the Cybertruck, there are already a bunch of those on the internet. However, I have lived out of tons of vehicles all over the world. So if you want a raw, real, normal person's perspective of this dirty, fingerprinted, messy, lived out of Cybertruck, this tour is for you. We're gonna start in the front and work our way to the back. So, welcome to the frunk. That is actually what it's called. There's a button somewhere and it opens up the front trunk. Just picture the head engineers at Tesla having a serious conversation and calling it a frunk. I don't know why. I think that's so funny. Notice that we don't have anything in here, and that's because we just keep completely forgetting that it even exists, and it kind of doubles as a seat. There's quite a bit of cool branding on the car. They've actually welded CyberTruck right here and in a few other spots. Fun fact, I don't think the word Tesla is anywhere on the whole Cybertruck. To close it, you just press the button. All right, next we have the world's largest piece of automotive glass. The windshield is gigantic, like literally larger than my wingspan. Huge. And it comes with the world's largest single windshield wiper. There's just one. And surprisingly, it rained for about 5 minutes yesterday and we got to use it.
Also, in all the other videos that I've watched online, the wheels have had those really cool futuristic looking covers on them, but apparently they're being recalled because they're actually rubbing holes in the sidewall of the tire, like where the extra weight from the truck makes it stick out on the bottom. And then also anybody who was lucky enough to get the first few Cybertrucks, they'll have this really cool laser engraved branding that says Foundation Series.
There are about 1 million fingerprints here on the side of the door, and that is because it is completely made of stainless steel, so it's kind of like a refrigerator. I don't know if there's any way to avoid this. It kind of drives me nuts. So you may notice something missing from the door here. Noticed yet? There's no handle, and that's because instead of a handle they have a button, and it kind of works like a microwave. Just really going with the kitchen theme here, and you can open it no problem, but there's no way to close the door without touching the stainless steel and getting fingerprints everywhere. From now on, this is what I'm gonna do. Problem solved.
This is from one day of use.
Let's get in the front seat. Welcome to the inside of the Cybertruck. It's so simple and sleek and futuristic looking. We have the steering wheel and the screen. That's it. We'll start with the steering wheel. They call this the Squircle. It's actually a really unique system.
Oh, I can't wait for this. I don't really understand it either. It's called steer-by-wire. Basically, you can control the entire Tesla with the flick of a wrist. Plus, the wheels on the back of the Tesla actually turn. So the turn radius on this feels like a sports car, but it's a truck. I actually pulled a Yui in the middle of the road the other day. No problem in this thing.
It literally feels like driving a go-kart. You're just like, have we honked the horn yet? Works like a normal horn. This is where you would naturally just set your phone, and it happens to be a wireless charger. And this might look like a normal center console, but let me show you underneath this cool little trinket box, we have so much space and an outlet. So we're charging the drone. I have my power bank in here, and then it all just hides underneath that. And then speaking of space, I don't know what's usually right here in like a normal car, but somehow there's nothing here.
Also, more super cool Cybertruck branding.
I'm pretty sure you have to have a rear view mirror in order to legally drive in the US. So this is like a little pointless plastic mirror that I think they put here just because they had to, because you obviously can't see out the back.
You can technically see out of the back of the Tesla if you have the bed cover up, but you also wouldn't normally drive that way because it decreases the aerodynamics. Like, that's why that cover exists. And so the rear view mirror is basically pointless is what we're trying to say.
However, there is a digital rear view mirror, and It's so much better than what this would do anyway, even if you could use it, because it works like a regular rear view, but when you put on your blinker and you're getting over, it shifts to the side camera, so there's literally no way to have a blind spot. One more thing to point out is this roof is all glass, so it just feels so much more open and bright in here when you're driving. There's no button to open the glove box. There's no handle, just like the outside doors. Instead, you use the screen. The screen does everything, if you can remember how. Don't look. Even if somehow somebody got in your car, like if they were trying to steal something, they need a pin in order to open the glove box. It's actually quite small, but still pretty cool. All right, now back to the screen. This is literally where you control everything. Here's the truck. I can open and close the trunk. I can open and close the frunk. I can adjust the height of the truck. I don't know if you're off-roading or whatever other reason you need to like lift your truck, whatever truck people do. Like it's like an elevator. Like you just boop. Oh, I opened the front. Close, please.
It shows you exactly what's happening outside of the car. Like open your door right now.
Whoa. Awesome. I could go on forever with all of the fun features that you can use the screen for, but I'll just point out a few of my favorites for now. If you click dynamics, they're all the different drive modes. So we used sport mode to get here yesterday, and then we also tried out off-road mode, and later today we're gonna try out Baja mode. That's the coolest part as far as the car controls go. But last night we discovered theater mode. It was freezing outside. We had all intentions of like having a fire, cooking some dinner, having a romantic little picnic, but instead we made a charcuterie board and turned on the heat in the car and sat in here and literally watched streaming platforms. I have no idea where the internet is coming from to make this work, but it worked, and we're in the middle of nowhere. Not only is the screen just huge and amazing, but the audio, it was like surround sound. Like it was actually like I was in a movie theater. Karen Nate's video about the train trip across the continent, it's actually so good. You should watch it. I think that about does it for the front. Let me show you the back.
Fingerprints. There we go.
This is clearly where we are storing all of our belongings. It's pretty much like a normal back seat of a truck, except the seat folds completely at 90 degrees. So we have so much space back here. It's crazy.
Another unique thing about the back is that these doors actually open 90 degrees, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but if you're trying to move something really big out of the back of the truck, it's so nice. More fingerprints. So this is a CyberTruck Basecamp. Tesla's tent that costs $3,000 that I think could use a couple improvements. Basically, the idea is it lives in a little box in the back of the truck, and when you need it, you can easily set it up. And you'll get to see that whole process tonight when we move campsites, but for now, let's take a look inside while it's set up. First, last night when it was dark, it was super awkward to get inside because I was like trying to crawl up here like this. But this morning I figured out that there's actually two handles under here that actually make it super easy to pull yourself out. So I am 5'10". If I sit straight up, I have about 6 inches of headroom on this side of the tent, so it is nice and roomy. That's as far as I can spread my arms out. Probably about 4 feet wide if I had to guess. Also, there are tons of pockets on each side of the tent. It's got these little zippers that unzip. I guess the rain fly probably comes off. Now let's talk about where I think there's room for improvement. I feel like whoever designed this tent is not actually a camper. This truck has so much power. I don't know why you wouldn't run some type of accessible outlet into the Basecamp. There's no way to do anything with electricity or lights inside of the tent. So it'd be really nice to have some kind of little like flexible light bar running across the top, somewhere to charge your phone, like just like a little USB outlet. Anything like that feels super simple. There are two things that like were just major misses. The first has to do with this mattress. It's about 1 inch thick. It's pretty comfortable, but the tent is already inflatable. Why not put a couple inches of inflatable mattress underneath this pad, and then it would be the most comfortable thing ever. But that's not the biggest flaw in the design. I'll have to get underneath the tent to show you that. Let's sprinkle in a little positivity here. One thing that I actually really like about the design is that the tent doesn't lay directly in the bed. So you've got like a couple feet of storage inside. These little legs are what keep the bed from falling down. And again, set this up in the dark last night. Oh, that didn't sound good. Couldn't really see what was going on. I just started pulling on this leg thinking that, you know, like there was like a little clamp or something holding it. Turns out there's a little metal button that I was supposed to hit that was like a lock button. It's broken. So learn from my mistake and don't break your $3,000 Basecamp on the first night if you can help it. Please tell me why the Tesla Basecamp comes with a bicycle pump. I could not believe it when I opened up the duffel bag and this was inside. It's a hand pump. And I thought surely this is a backup scenario. Not the case. This is the primary way that you inflate the tent. And this right here is where you blow up the tent. You wanna know what is 20 inches away? Come right down here with me. An outlet to plug in your inflator, your electric inflator, so you don't have to sit there and pump it like an idiot. Literally, I can pull it 12 inches away, and they didn't think to include. This would be a better rant if I could think of the name of that thing. An electric inflator. I mean,
Tell him, Nate.
It's a nice pump. Like, it's really not that much effort, but like how you miss that, I don't know.
I think that's the thing with the price of this and just how quality the rest of the tech is in the CyberTruck. Like, it just really feels random.
Okay, so that does it for the overview of the truck and the tent. We're about to move campsites, and I'm going to attempt to take this thing down.
Before we go any further, let me say a huge thank you to our friends over at AG1 for sponsoring this video. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I'm pretty sure most people know by now that Nate and I are obsessed with AG1. Woo! Woo! We have been living full-time out of a suitcase or random vehicles for well over 8 years. And I'm not gonna lie, for the first 4 years, I did not prioritize my health or nutrition whatsoever.
The plan was for both of us to get an ice cream cone, but
it was pretty bad. But thankfully, we discovered AG1 in 2020, and it has been a part of our daily routine ever since. Just in case you haven't heard, just one serving of AG1 contains over 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. And that includes pre and probiotics, adaptogens, superfoods, all things that we definitely aren't getting from our diets alone. And there are a lot of supplements and green powders and drinks out there, but what sets AG1 apart is they improve as science improves. They're on their 52nd version of AG1, so it's just gonna get better and better. Plus, it could not be more simple to make. You literally take the shaker with 8 to 12 ounces of water, with one serving, either a scoop from the jar or a travel pack. Pour the content into the water, preferably when it's not windy outside and blowing it all away. Put the top back on, give it a good shake. Do-do-do-do-do, shake, shake. Sorry, okay. And then you drink it. A lot of people ask me about the flavor and they get caught up in the taste. Honestly, if you have nice cold water, even an ice cube and a squeeze of lemon, I genuinely think it tastes great. Very refreshing, especially on a hot summer day in the desert. Hopefully, I've convinced you by now that you need to try AG1. And I have great news. If you click the link in the description below or scan the QR code here on the screen, not only will you get AG1's jar and shaker with your first purchase, but they're also gonna throw in a free bottle of AG1's D3 K2 drops, which we also take every day, and 5 of these travel packs for free. Give it a try and let me know what you think.
okay, so I've got everything out of the tent, and I thought it would be fun to time how long it takes me to get it down for the first time. I figure it'll only get faster from here, so this is like a worst case scenario. All right, 5 minutes in. We got the tent down now, just have to get everything folded up. The only thing that I really have to compare this to is the rooftop tent that we stayed in when we were overlanding in Australia. I wouldn't say this is necessarily harder, but there are way more steps. The other one, you just kind of like pulled down, closed it, tucked all the things in, and then you were good to go. This is just like, yeah, it's kind of a lot. The piece that I bent last night just broke off. The whole leg just broke off.
Well, Nate is finishing up, packing up Basecamp. I'm in charge of lunch. We're obsessed with these salad kits. That's just the salad and all the toppings all in one package. I think I got the easy job.
All right, I'm well over 10 minutes in. I'll show you what I'm struggling with up here. This is the cover that's supposed to hold the tent in place, so that's kind of what it looks like when it's just living in the back of the truck. The bed's folded up pretty nicely. Wasn't too much of a pain, but this part right here, this has to be on the outside, and it's just not made to do that. Okay, so there was a bit of user error. There's a ratchet strap on the back that I'd forgotten to tighten down. I made it somewhat easier to get the rest of the fabric pulled over, and now I'm gonna see if it'll zip up. Super easy, actually, once you do it in the right order. That took 17 minutes. I think tomorrow I could probably do it in 10 now that I know what I'm doing. All right. The guy we rented this truck from is gonna be like, what did you do? It's very different, like renting a car and driving it from place to place than living out of it.
Okay, if you know anything about all of the other Teslas, this is not new news to you. How do I get it to be me? My profile.
Hey, put your foot on the brake.
Oh, yeah. I've just created my specific driving profile, which means my seat is very close to the steering wheel.
I told her she's the only one that can make a Tesla Cybertruck look uncool.
I've like lifted the squircle as high as it'll go. I've moved my seat up and as close to the windshield as possible.
She drives just like her mom.
Which looks like an old lady. I love you, mommy.
So I feel like we were pretty hard on the Basecamp. So far, that part of the Cybertruck has been underwhelming. The actual driving part, incredible.
Can't be beat.
All right, here we go.
Bye home, goodbye murderer.
I'm flying the drone and I'm watching the Cybertruck drive through Joshua Tree, and it still doesn't even look real.
I mean, it is truly such an experience that you just can't capture. It's a feeling. It is not your average looking car. But to me, it's just not even comparable to other cars. It's like comparing oranges to apples. They're not the same food.
I think people say apples to oranges. It's like people saying Nate and Kara. All right, Baja mode has been engaged and we are about to take this thing from 0 to 60 as fast as it will go off-road.
I don't even know what Baja mode means, but I think we're about to find out. Oh my gosh!
60, 70, 80! Wow, that was exhilarating.
Yeah. Let's do it again.
All right, you wanna try it?
No, I'm way too
Oh, you gotta try it, come on.
Okay. All right, any tips?
Just floor it. I should put my seatbelt on.
Yes, you should, Nathan. That should be something you just always do.
We're in Baja mode. The drone is in sport mode. I'm gonna see how long we can keep up. Ready?
I'm scared.
3, 2, 1, go. Oh, it's nowhere close. It's nowhere close.
50,
the Tesla's leaving us in the dust.
60, 70. Don't stop me. I can't do this.
Oh my gosh. Whoa, bump. Oh,
gosh.
the suspension is so good in this thing.
The adrenaline coursing through my veins. I've never felt this in my life, except for when there was a murderer outside my door last night.
I'm not sure where we ended up, but it feels like a bunch of people who didn't want Burning Man to end, and so they just moved out to the desert and made it their life. We were actually thinking about camping here one night. This looks more sketch than last night. The plan now is to head into town. Ooh, that was the bumpiest part yet. We are going to fully charge the Cybertruck so that we can run the air fryer as long as we want.
All right, we're pulling up to the supercharger. Let's see if we attract as much attention as we did last time. There are quite a few people here.
If you don't like talking to strangers, this is not the car for you.
Yeah.
We were down to 42%. We're gonna charge back up to 80% before we head out, and it's saying it's gonna take 30 minutes. Also did not pay attention to how much we paid yesterday, so I'll let you know how much it costs to charge up 38% in the Cybertruck.
While we fill up, we might as well watch a little something, eh?
Ooh, you know what?
What? Karen Nate's Train series? I was thinking the same thing.
I actually really wanna watch this.
Yes.
Photo, they're like, another podcast, let's do it. You don't expect it to just be super cut dry. You almost like when it does take twists and turns.
All right, we are all charged up. We're about to head back out into the desert. It costs a grand total of $16.
Whoa.
It's not too bad, but for some reason it feels like electricity should be free. I realize that's not the case and that makes no sense, but like, it's invisible. So it feels weird paying for it. So we sat in the car for 20 minutes and watched YouTube, but as soon as I took one step outside of the truck, like 4 people showed up out of nowhere. I don't blame anybody. I would do the exact same thing. I just think it's funny how much attention that it attracts.
Everyone we've talked to has been so sweet and so excited and appreciative.
Just out here making people's day. All right, we're heading back into the desert.
Home sweet home.
So you may be wondering why we're staying at these seemingly random spots instead of camping in Joshua Tree National Park, since we're so close. And if you've been following our channel for a while, you would know that we have a little bit of a past with the national parks. It all started back in 2020 when we moved into our van and shot a video in a national park, and they consider YouTube commercial filming. Apparently we got a big fine for that, and the ruling actually got overturned, and they said small film crews of less than 5 people could now film in national parks. It didn't matter if you were doing it commercially, and then a while back they overturned it again. So now we're back to not being able to film these videos in national parks. So we're booking everything through a website called HipCamp. It's like random people just put their property on HipCamp, and then they say you can pay me a little bit of money to camp on my land for free. Besides the person that came to visit us in the middle of the night last night. Last night's was a beautiful, epic spot. This one kind of feels like we're in what's the start of a neighborhood. Like this will eventually be a neighborhood. And there are no Joshua trees, but it does have one major perk: a private porta potty. Okay, as promised, I'm going to show you step by step how to set up the base camp. Okay, step 1 is pretty straightforward. You just unbuckle both of the latches and then unzip the cover and throw it back. Then once you have the cover off, there's this ratchet strap on the back. You just push this button and pull up on the whole thing. So we'll call this step 3, unfolding the base. So theoretically, if you wouldn't have broken the leg, the last step to unfolding the base is just to put the leg into place, and that holds it up. But I'm gonna have to figure something else out for tonight. I think I could just set it in place for now. So there are 4 of these inflation valves on each corner, and you just have to go close all of them up. This is a very small step, but a very important one. I forgot to do it on one side last night, and everything was a bit wonky. This little red strap clips through this little D-ring, and then you hook the tent back to the strap, and that's kind of like what holds this corner of the tent in place. Okay, and now the only thing left to do is get out the manual pump. You hook this hose to one side, you hook this side to the inflation valve, and then once they're hooked together, instead of pressing a button to just easily electrically inflate it, oh, I forgot, you are supposed to pull this material all to one side. Well, it's growing. Again, it's not like it's that hard. It's just, you know. Oh, I missed a step. There's one of these straps on each side, and you pull it out to the peak, and then by pressing it together, it opens up. It just clamps in place. That should actually be like step 2. All right, now all I have to do is finish blowing it up to 8 PSI, just make everything a little more rigid. All right, the last small step is just to pull this over the corner of the tailgate, and then these straps right here hold it down so it doesn't blow around in the wind all night. All right, so setting it up the second time felt a lot easier. Maybe I gave this tent too hard of a time because it was so expensive. Let me know in the comments, is this genius engineering, or should a $3,000 tent be way easier to set up? I just remembered this thing also came with an awning that we didn't set up last night. You think we should try that out?
Yeah.
So I think I need to reframe the way I'm thinking about this entire Tesla camping experience. I came into this thinking that we were gonna compare it to van life because that's what we spent 2 years doing. And compared to a van, it's way more inconvenient. However, if you compare it to the alternative, which is tent camping, this is 10 times better than a tent that sets up on the ground. And you've got your own power supply when you come out into the middle of the desert like this. It's all about perspective, how you look at it, and what your expectations are. And I think now that I've reframed my expectations, I'm kind of loving the base camp. Look at this. Also, the air fryer experiment has started. It's running a 20-minute cycle right now, just to like clean itself, because this is the first time it's ever being used.
How cute is it? This was like 20 bucks at Walmart. And so was our kettle, but then we realized why, because it has a big dent in it. It was returned.
Oh, are you boiling water and air frying at the same time?
That's correct.
So the Tesla battery, before Kara started all of this, was at 75%, and we'll report back after dinner's made and let you know how much power we used.
I'm trying to think of a more beautiful setting that I've cooked in before.
The sky is insane in every direction right now.
And I'm just over here air frying my samosas, living my best life. This is one of the reasons why I love van life so much. Or
Tesla life.
cyber life.
Hashtag cyber life. All right, well, Kara's working on dinner. I'm gonna see if I can get this fire started so we don't end up inside the Tesla watching TV again tonight for dinner. I bought the the cheater stuff. If you want to see me start a real fire with sticks, we've got a couple survival videos you can go watch. That's definitely more satisfying, but this is a lot faster.
Okay, I already know this is gonna burn my tongue, but I just can't wait. Oh, good. Hot.
Ooh, it looks like I'm gonna tell a ghost story about using power in the Tesla. Okay, so we ran the air fryer for a total of 30 minutes and Kara boiled water for the rice. I haven't told her yet. How much power do you think we used?
10%.
We are down to 73.
1%?
2%.
Our van would have already died and buried itself in a cemetery.
To put that in perspective, if we boil water twice in the kettle in our van, you should just never have a kettle in your van, then the power gets low enough to where it starts beeping at us and giving us a warning that we have low power. So to be able to run an air fryer for 30 minutes and only drain 2% of the battery is actually insane. There is actually a 240 volt outlet in the back of the Tesla, and they say that you can power a house from it for up to 3 days.
Can we get one? I brought the spicy and the salt and pepper if you need it.
That was pretty good. I thought it was salty. Are we witnessing a UFO right now? What is happening? Is there a spaceship going up into orbit? Am I seeing my first UFO? You can see it like breaking the sound barrier or something. This is crazy. What is this?
What's falling from the sky out there?
What is that?
I mean, this is one of the wildest things I've ever experienced.
That was awesome. I don't know what it was, but it was awesome.
Weird things happen in the desert.
I think this morning I might have woken up on the wrong side of the bed, or I just didn't get very good sleep because we thought somebody was going to kill us in the middle of the night. But I did find another fun feature. If you actually go into the Tesla app, you can turn the truck bed lights on, and it does this nice little highlight around the outside of the tent.
Nice.
So while there's not lighting inside like I requested, and you know, it might be nice to have a light on top every once in a while, but like these are actually really nice. Still no way to charge our phones. All right, this was supposed to be me not complaining.
Love you.
Love you. Are you sleeping in your clothes?
Yeah. Well, I just don't want to be naked if I have to get out and hit somebody with a stick.
Good morning. Much better night of sleep last night. Sadly, the time has come to start packing up the Tesla and head back to LA to return it to its rightful owner. It's been so fun pretending like it was ours for the last 48 hours. But since there's so much hype around this truck and it's so new, we wanted to make sure we hadn't missed anything. So last night we asked you on Instagram what questions you had about this whole setup, and we're gonna answer as many of those as we can while we pack up.
Why is it so hideous? Do you like the looks of it?
Absolutely love it. I think it's the coolest truck in the world.
Obviously, at first glance, when they first announced it, I was like, whoa, that's just so weird and out there, because it is. It's really grown on me, and now I think it's awesome. How long does it take to set up and take down?
It depends on if you have to take this piece on and off. So like if you've already done it once and you leave this piece off, probably like 10 minutes setup and take down if you know what you're doing. This piece itself probably is gonna take at least 10 more minutes.
Sounds pretty annoying to me. Elon, have you tried cutting a carrot with the lid to see how sharp the edges are? No. But we just happen to have some carrots. Not positive what you were referring to by saying the lid, but I feel like this is the part that people talk about how sharp it is. Oh, redo. No, definitely cut a piece off of it. Ow. Can you watch anything while driving? Kara and Nate from the future, driving home. Let us know if you can watch while driving. So if you want to watch something, you gotta do it back here.
And that's what holds everything else you need for the tent.
Huh. Do you think they gave that a cute little name, like frunk? Like the back trunk, the bunk? Anytime.
What?
Would you ever buy the CyberTruck in the future? If not, which RV would you buy?
If I'm deciding between the CyberTruck and an RV, it's two totally different things. If I just needed like a car and money didn't matter, 100% I'd buy the CyberTruck. If I was trying to buy like a camper or something that I was gonna live out of full time or even part time, definitely not this.
How does the CyberTruck differ from a normal Tesla? We have a tiny bit of experience with the Tesla Model
why. And besides the obvious, like there's a truck bed, the screen is bigger, there's a squircle. The size is, I think, the biggest thing.
Does it feel as big as it looks? Yes, we just got passed by a Toyota Corolla. But instead of flicking us off, he gave us one of these. But people have been concerned with like how big it drives, and it drives like a sports car. The back tires turning are a game changer.
Thanks for watching. Also, happy birthday, Nate!
Thank you. What a fun start to 35, waking up in a Cybertruck.
Get funny. Okay, bloop. Oh, can I close the door? I think I might be able to close that door. Never mind. Never mind. Can't do that yet.
What does
I'm getting a cookie. It might be the last cookie I ever have on planet Earth.
Oh, I bet it was Elon. He's sending us a sign.
Whoa! We got the message, Elon. You want to give us this Cybertruck?